Hi, Damiano. It's so nice to have you on the show. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Beautiful. And thank you too so very much for being here. Okay, Damiano, I am quite excited to have you on the show today for some reasons. Firstly, my interest in knowledge seeking, because I believe in order to transition from a chaotic situation to that of a beautiful name, it takes the application of knowledge, quality information. And you see, Damiano, ever since I discovered that light in the Hebrew means knowledge and darkness means ignorance, I've been so keen to knowledge seeking because I do not want to remain in the dark. So that's going to make our conversation here today very important to me and even to the audience. Now, the second reason why I'm excited to have you on the show, Damiano, is for the sake of the listeners. You see, we live in an age where information is as abundant as grains of sand. We've got a lot of informations out there. So these folks trust me for quality information. And that's why when I was going through your profile, I was excited because I believe our conversation is going to be insightful. So for that reason, Damiano, let's get started with your introduction. Talk to us about your personal and professional journey. We're just so curious. How did you get here? Let us know. Then afterwards, I've gotten some beautiful questions for you. Okay, Damiano, over to you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. So obviously my name is Damiano. I've been an entrepreneur for the last 10 years, and I'm an entrepreneur today. Today I run a marketing agency called Brand Butter. We are a marketing agency that specializes on doing large radical marketing campaigns is what we call them. So these are campaigns that make advertising history. And, we've worked with the likes of shows like Game of Thrones, for example, where we just took a bus stop in London and turned it into a dragon's nest with an egg in it to raise awareness about the fact that the new season of Game of Thrones was coming out. That's one of the smaller campaigns we've done. We've done tons of other larger campaigns for larger brands, so we continue to work on those as well. The way that I got here was actually by starting marketing agencies about 10 years ago. So I've been running marketing agencies for the last decade. And my first marketing agency was called Startup Slang. I started that business when I had $400 in my account and didn't really know anything about business or anything about marketing or development or anything like that. So literally learned on the fly and made every possible mistake that I could make. And in 7 years' time, Startup Slang turned into a 65 people team with offices in two countries and three cities. And then I sold that business last year before starting my current business right now with my business partners. So yeah, that's a little bit about.
Amazing. This is a very important topic because many sectors in diverse cultures are desperately in need of marketing. You know, schools want to get students to come to their schools. Um, Business folks want to sell their product, and lots of ventures like that. They need people to patronize what they're doing. So I believe marketing is very, very important. And the fact that you are in that aspect and you are doing what you're doing, providing solution to problems, that tells me that you are someone who's got a good heart and you're a great asset to this world. So keep doing what you're doing, Damiano. I love that. So let us
Thanks, man.
get started with the very first question. Are you ready?
Sure.
Okay, you mentioned how you started your own marketing agency, but can I ask what inspired you? The inspiration behind I've got to have my own marketing agency. What was it? Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, I mean, everything started with me just wanting more freedom. I was working at a job where I would commute an hour to get to work. I would stay there for 8 hours and commute back. So basically, 10 hours out of my day was just given to this job that I didn't necessarily enjoy that much. And so this entire journey really started out of frustration, where I just wanted to learn a way where I can make an income and just have freedom over my time and have freedom over um, how I worked and who I worked with. So I started looking at different business models. I started looking into e-commerce and drop shipping at the time. 10 years ago, that was really the hot thing that a lot of people were talking about. I did a little bit of drop shipping, sold a couple of products here and there, made a little bit of money, but nothing substantial enough for me to really grow and scale. But in that process, I had ended up learning a skill, which was to build websites, to build e-commerce websites specifically on a platform called Shopify. When I started building Shopify stores, I was doing it just for myself and just for my tests. But as I spoke about this with my friends and family, a lot of other people started asking me if they can hire me to build a Shopify store for them. And that's really where I started putting two and two together. And I was like, okay, well, I think this is a service that I can offer to people. And maybe instead of selling products, I can sell this as a service. Um, and then as I was doing research about how I can sell more Shopify stores, I came across a website called Fiverr. And Fiverr is the world's largest freelancing website in the world. I joined Fiverr back in 2016, and I basically just started offering websites for, like, I think at the beginning it was like something like $35. I started getting my first few clients. Clients were happy. They started leaving me 5-star reviews. And fast forward to the end of my first year, where I had made double the amount of money that I was making at my full-time job, just selling websites online. So at my full-time job, I was paid like $60,000 a year, and just selling websites on the side ended up making me like $120K. And so that was like my first real, my first real time where I saw that it was possible and I was able to do this. And then I ended up quitting my job, and then I started doing this pretty much full time. And I turned my freelance career into an agency after that, so that I could take more work and bigger clients as well.
Oh, what a smart move. I love that. Okay, let us talk about some of the things you mentioned. You mentioned working with some bold and big brands. So what do you enjoy most
Mhm.
about working with them?
So I feel like big brands can usually take risks, which a lot of smaller businesses might not be able to. If you think of a big brand like a Pepsi, for example, or like a Ferrero or something like that, they have budgets specifically to just test things out, just to see if a campaign would work in a lot of cases. And if you want something to really go viral and really like make it, that testing process is very, very important. So we'll usually test things out with like a small campaign and then see how the audience reacts to that. And then we'll turn that small campaign into a much larger campaign where we can get a lot more eyeballs and impressions on the brand. So larger companies tend to have an appetite for that kind of stuff, to really like be at the cutting edge and try to innovate as much as possible. I'm very much someone that thrives on that innovation aspect of things, and so I like to work with businesses that want to innovate in how to do things. That being said, it doesn't mean that we don't work with smaller, medium-sized businesses. We do. It's just that the services that we offer and what we're able to do for them is very different than what we can do with a much larger brand.
I got that. You mentioned the word innovate, and I think that is one of the things that makes you stand out. The fact that you're able to think outside the box. So I wanted to ask, how do you approach thinking outside the box in your work? Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, it's a good question. So
Thank
how
you.
do I think outside the box at my work? There's a few things that I do. The number one thing is networking, and I think networking is extremely, extremely important. One of the reasons why I'm able to come up with unconventional solutions is actually because over the last 10 years, I've built a massive network of people. I think on my LinkedIn, I have like 14,000 people that follow me. I know a lot of those people personally. These are people that I've met, I've shaken hands with, and that I've spoken to. And so I have this massive network of partners and people that I know that are just experts at their specific thing. And that I constantly get just innovative ways and ideas from. And then because I'm very much like a super connector, so I connect people together and I bring solutions together. The other thing is that, even though I grew up here in Montreal and I live here in Montreal and I love the city, over the last 3-4 years, I have really expanded my reach. So I'm just as comfortable here in Montreal as I am in Toronto, as I am in Barcelona, in Lisbon, and in Rome. And so because I'm like a little bit all over in within these 5 cities, and I've networked within these 5 cities specifically, I'm able to find like solutions from one place and just bring it to somewhere else. And even for my clients, in some cases, I'm able to find experts that have done specific things that they might not be able to understand. Like, for example, the other day I had a friend that built a web mobile game for McDonald's, and I saw it and I thought that was like amazing. And so I ended up taking the same concept and offering that to one of my clients, and that ended up being a really good activation for them. That got them exactly what they needed. And so really looking at different industries and how different people in my network are able to solve problems and bringing the solutions, the solutions oriented problem solving aspect to different problems. That's really how
I got that. That's a great one. Learning from other people and you know, learning
I do.
from the
100%.
exposure and all of that. I got that. Okay, so let us talk about digital trends. What do you think is
Hmm.
the most exciting trend in digital marketing right now?
AI automation for sure. AI has
I
taken
tell you.
over, especially over the last few years. Yeah. Yeah, so in digital marketing, there's tons of things that you can do thanks to AI today, and I think in 2025 it's going to get even more interesting, because we'll be able to make entire podcasts and entire videos out of AI. That technology is actually already available today, so it's just a matter of marketers like myself to really taking a hold of that and trying new things and innovating. I think it's an extremely um, exciting time to be alive right now because of the innovations that we have with AI at the moment.
I got that. Yeah, AI. AI is the talk of the town right now. I tell you. Okay. What are some of the tips or insights that you can share for someone who wants to effectively market their services or product?
Mhm. So I think what's important is really to understand your audience and to have an open conversation with your audience. This can be done in a number of ways. Even just like talking to your following on Facebook or Instagram and just getting to know who it is that has purchased your product or that is interested in your product. I think that's the biggest learning that I've had in the last 10 years. That's usually how we're able to craft an experience for that specific profile of person that is the perfect experience for with our service or product. Um, so I would say definitely like just keeping an open line of communication with your customer and really understanding who your customer is, what your customer thinks about, what they care about before actually putting together a marketing plan to go out and reach out to them. That would be the number one tip.
Like creating a solution for their problem, not what you think they need, but what they truly need. I got that. I got that. So I want you to give a piece of
Exactly.
advice to um, brands that are looking to stand out in today's market. It's so tough on some of those guys and they just don't know how to come out and be seen. So what are some tips or insights you love to share with them?
Mhm. Yeah, what I would say to any brand is work with an agency. Work with an agency that really knows what they're doing. A lot of brands think that they can just rely on their marketing departments and who they have internally. But the truth is, a marketing department and an agency actually do different things. A marketing agency like ourselves, we have expertise from, like we work with 2,000 clients. So we have the expertise from over 2,000 clients that we've been able to see from the inside and to really like scale and grow. Um, and so if there is a space for us to bringing innovation from another industry, we will be there to do that. And the truth is, when you have somebody working in a marketing department, that person has only really built an expertise that is from the careers that they followed, which is not like a bad thing. But they might not have the expertise from working with 2,000 clients, what an agency would have. So what I tell to any brand is definitely make sure that if you don't have an agency, that's your agency of record. That's the agency that takes care of everything for you, marketing wise. You want to have that relationship under your tool belt. because it will make everything a lot better.
I got that. So what about folks seeking advice on starting their own business in e-commerce? What can you say to them?
Um, for people that want to start an e-commerce business, what I would usually say is make sure that you work with an expert. I think that's like the number one thing. Like if you don't know what you're doing, there are experts in e-commerce out there that know what they're doing. And working with an expert can really cut your learning curve and accelerate the growth of the business by quite a bit. If you are someone that understands business or you don't have the money to hire an expert, just remember there's three main metrics when it comes to e-commerce. There is customer acquisition cost, there's conversion rate, and there's retention rate. And unless you think of these three metrics and how to optimize these three metrics, it will be very difficult for you to really build a sustainable business. And so I will look at everything through the lens of those three metrics that are key for an e-commerce business to work.
I got that. Okay, you've been in this stuff for quite some time, and I believe you would have gone through some storms and learned some lessons. So, what are some lessons you've learned from building and exiting multiple businesses?
Some lessons I've learned. I would say what a lot of people don't take into account is just asking yourself what your limiting beliefs are. This is like everyone has limiting beliefs. I've had many limiting beliefs and still continue to. And as you grow and as you scale, like you will have limiting beliefs. These are beliefs that limit you from actually growing and from actually moving forward. I remember when I was a full-time employee and I didn't think I could start my own business because I thought that having a job was much more stable than starting a business. I now know that that's not the case. That was a limiting belief that I had back then. And now I now know that starting your own business could be just as stable, if not more stable, than even having a job where you can be fired at any time and you don't have any freedom, right? So um, definitely look at your limiting belief and get into the habit of really asking yourself what my limiting beliefs are, in order to at least shine light on them and see what the alternative ways of doing things are. Innovation is always about thinking in a different way and thinking in a different perspective. And sometimes there are beliefs that we might hold or that we've grown to hold that that limit us from that process. So I would say that would be the most important.
Limiting beliefs. I got that. Okay, Damiano, to bring this to an end, what would you like to leave the audience with, like a final thought? And to those ones who would like to reach out to you, learn more about what you're doing, you've said so many amazing stuffs and it resonated. To love to learn more. How can that be possible?
Yeah, 100%. So, if you want to follow me on Instagram, Instagram is the platform where I'm the most active. So you can go to at Damiano R. So that's DAMIANOR.
Beautiful. So, any final thought, like closing stuff?
Yeah, no, in closing, just anybody that wants to start a business or grow a business, just know that grit is the most important thing that builds entrepreneurs, and that there is always a solution, and that business is a never-ending exercise in problem solving. So there's
Mm.
always going to be problems in the business, and it's okay. It's a good thing. If you can identify a problem, you're actually on the right road.
I got that. Beautiful. So that's going to be the end of the show, Damiano. Thank you so very much for coming and thank you for sharing this amazing stuff with us. It means a whole lot, man. I truly appreciate it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Have a good one.